Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, whatever you'd like to call yourself. Welcome back to the Bandit Saloon. I am always Fox, and this is my dad, Lane. We're going to be discussing two stories that happen to both be very long this time and very unrelated. Just a great little teamwork that we always put in.
So buckle up on this one. The other aspect with this, and I clued Fox in a little, but the story that I'm going to read, when him and I first discussed doing this, I found this story. So we're going back a few months when I found this one, and it's so crazy. Um, I had to include it. I waited because again, it's a little crazy. The other aspect with it is it gets pretty personal with us, and our back. Well, me mainly. It gets personal pertaining to me and my background and growing up and stuff. It relates into a lot with that without getting too detailed, but it is personal. So in that aspect, so um, going to be fun. Without further ado, hope you grab a drink.
Further ado.
Further ado, do. Cheers. All right, away we go. Bang bang. You ready?
Mm.
All right. As I said before, this story it kind of opens up to some personal background with us. Um, and it also is kind of a hot topic in the world right now, and that is Mormons. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in the church. I was a good soldier, good boy, and went on a mission. I served in England in the EBM mission. Any EBM guys out there? Shout out. But actually, coincidentally, the mission doesn't exist anymore. There's no EBM anymore.
Oh, you did that good of a job.
They dismantled it. They dismantled it years ago. It covered South Wales and South England. Um, it was I can't say it was a negative thing in my life. Taught me a lot. But and so and I was in the religion until what 10 years ago. I think is when we stopped going. Has it been longer?
Almost 10 years, because it was
Yeah,
about when I was like 12 or 13.
yeah. When we quit, when I kind of stopped going, um, personal feelings, spiritual, all of that. Not going to get into the reasons why. I'm not going to explain any of that. Just say that, yeah, just say that we don't go to church anymore, um, and we haven't for a long time. Hence why things that I have in my background are heathenistic, if you want to call it, but they're things that I do now, um, and quite frankly enjoy. But anyways,
Heathenistic is crazy.
so this story I found it a few months ago. It's a Mormon, and the title, as you guys probably saw in the thumbnail, is called Mormon Trapped. I'm playing off the words of baby trapped, and we'll get into why I call this Mormon Trapped. And I'm also going to break down a couple of things because while I'm not in the church, I still know this stuff because it relates to returned missionaries, it relates to missionaries, it relates to spiritual, it relates to Holy Ghost type things. All of those things are thrown into this, and it's a really fascinating story. I've shared it with a bunch of different people except for Fox. I've shared
Yeah.
it with my wife Amy, my daughter, his girlfriend. We, you know, because it's just crazily insane. So, without any more explanation, we're going to get into it. And I'm already apologizing. It's long, so I'm going to be reading a lot. And during it, I'll break down a couple of things in it because there's even probably a couple aspects that you may not even know. Um, Relating to missionaries and stuff like that. So um, I'm going to
Yeah, I
get into
got
that.
no experience with that.
Yeah.
I was able to get out before that.
All right. My 32M wife, sorry, he's 32M wife, who's 28 female, so they're 4 years apart, admitted she married me because I was the easier choice and basically baby trapped me. We've been together 9 years and have children together, and I am crushed. How do I move forward from here?
Ooh,
The one thing
we
I'll
ain't
say,
even asking if they're
the
the
yeah,
asshole.
he's this is relationship advice.
Yeah,
This is where I found
this
this
is
one.
this is someone reaching out.
Again, I've been married for 29 years, up and down roller coaster, what do you want to call it. We're still together, um, and so I kind of know a little bit about religion or about relationships in the sense of being an asshole, um, being a butthead, and doing that kind of stuff, and still surviving it. And this is this one here. The one thing I disagree with the way he titled this is it shouldn't be called choice and basically baby trapped. He was not baby trapped. He was Mormon trapped or spiritually trapped, should I say. All
Oh
right, here we
boy.
go.
Oh no.
Hi, first of all, if you're reading this, thank you for taking the time. I don't have anyone I can talk to about this, and I'm hoping for some advice, some important background context. My wife and I were both raised Mormon and met at BYU.
No boy. Which BYU is the important part?
Well, if it doesn't state BYU Hawaii, BYU Idaho, it's the one in Provo.
It's the BYU.
Yes. Meet cute. I don't know why he put that in there. All right. I had recently returned from a 2-year Mormon mission, and when we met, she actually had a mission call and was going to leave in a few months. We were basically polar opposites, personality wise, but the chemistry was really great. I was a straight and pre med student, and she was basically failing gen ed classes as a freshman. I don't know. I don't know why he put in the straight. I was a straight and pre med.
Probably he's meant
Straight A. Okay, straight A.
Yeah.
He didn't capitalize the. My bad. Sorry.
Straight A.
Okay. We dated for literally a month and then did long distance since she went home after Christmas and was going to be leaving on her mission in February. I told her that I would write her, and while I didn't commit to waiting for her, female missions are 18 months long in the Mormon Church. I told her that I really liked her and that if I was still single when she got home, I would love to continue dating her. So, with Mormon missions, one of the things is that um, you serve when you're 19, and at the time I think it's changed now. I'm not 100%. I think both female and female now can both go at 19, but when I, like, years ago, and when this is taking place, it was still that you could go when you were 19 years old as a male or 21 as a female. I think they initially did this again when they initially started letting female um, females serve a mission. They did the 21 to keep it, that they weren't the same age, to try to prevent funny shenanigans happening, which didn't matter in the end. If they're going to happen, they're going to happen. Which I got a lot. That's a whole different episode. We could talk about the stories I dealt with on that with my mission. But so it's 19 and 21. So when he returns home, he's either 21 or 22, depending on when he left. Sometimes guys will go on a mission for whatever. That's the strange thing, that they're 4 years apart, which I think he's 4 years older, which I think is weird. So he must have been. I'm assuming, and it's that he's a pre-med. I'm assuming he went to school for a couple years before he served a mission. Now, men are allowed to leave later on their missions. They can leave when they're 20 or 21. I think you can go up until you're like 22, I think. Again, at the time, because we had a couple older guys in our missions. Some European guys would go later. So he must have left a little bit later. But that being said, so they met, fell in love in a sense in a couple of months, and then she's going on her mission. So that's where we stand at this point. I'm trying to explain the age differences a little bit more than even he gets into. Fast forward to literally her second or third day in the Mormon Missionary Training Center when I get a phone call from her sitting in her leader's office. She said that she felt inspired or called of God, that she was supposed to come home and marry me instead of going on her mission, and that basically they would only release her or support her in coming home if I confirmed that I would marry her soon as possible after she got home, basically to avoid us falling into sexual sin. Okay, so this is a true fact, or at least it was. Again, I that's 10 years might have changed, but at the time, and the time, like when I went on a mission, if a sister had a legit what do you call it, proposition or proposal to get married, she could leave the mission in as an honorary leave, a type thing, honorary leave. I guess, like in the military, you can get an honorary leave for certain things. So that's the word I'm looking for. Discharge. So a sister with a legit proposal could get an honorary discharge, because the church very much wants sisters married. They, like it or not, they don't want sisters going on missions. Okay, they just, we can, if you disagree with us, put it down in the comments. But the church, that's why you can't go until you're 21, because they hope by that time you're going to find a husband. Yeah, and that's part of it too.
A lot of the time, Mormons find it very, very
Mormon. It's very common in Mormon religion that they get married young. I mean, your mom and I, Amy and I, got married. I was, I bet, 2 years after my mission, and your mom was 20, basically turned 21 when we got married. So we were young. So, and it's just the way the kind of church kind of wants it. So this is a real thing. She can legitimately call, and it is a legitimate thing. She's not breaking any rules. It's not like she's in prison, which the MTC is not a prison. It's, you're there voluntarily. There definitely, if you want to go home, there wants to be discussion, blah blah blah. But you're there voluntarily. But if she went to her leader, says, I have a guy that's, so basically she says, I prayed, I got a spiritual feeling that
Mm-hmm.
God told me we need to get married. Okay. So that's where I get into, this is a Mormon trap, spiritual trap, not a baby trap. Because that's what she did to this guy.
Yeah, no, he's trapped
So
like right then and there.
so she says, this is, I feel this, we need to get married. And he goes, okay, I agree. Let's do it. So he basically agrees to it. Okay. So I said yes at the time. I was a true believer, and who was I to question what God told her? And I really liked her and cared about her. I flew out to see her once she got home for a few days, and she flew out to meet my family in the 2 months of long distance before we got married. In total, we knew each other 4 months, all but one long distance before we got married. Okay,
You don't know
wow.
this lady.
Okay,
You don't know this lady.
now we can kind of make fun of this, but you also, in my perspective, I met your mom. I met Amy in basically October, like the last couple, I think it was October 30th, 31st. I met Amy and I proposed to her at Christmas. I proposed to her on Christmas Eve 2 months later. 5 months after that, we were married. So total, we knew. I mean, I knew of your mom a few months before we technically started dating him. I knew of her back in the summer, but by the time when we got married, actually when the first time we met face to face, which she worked at a Mormon credit union, by the way. So she we were in the religion full force, trust me. And so she worked at a Mormon credit union the first time I met her, and within 10 months of that, I was married to her. So I can't really knock the quickness of this for that purposes. Okay. So
I
while
can.
this is weird, it in the Mormon
It's
religion,
common.
it's not unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not uncommon at all. Okay. So after that, this is before we got married. So obviously got married. The one thing that I find interesting, or there's a lack of, is she said she felt the spirit in the church. Usually they should pray together. He should pray on his own. The church does encourage you to pray on your own to find your own answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it interesting that in essence, he never mentions that he did this. So I don't know if he did or not, but he never mentions that he did that. So
Hmm.
that's where the spiritual trap comes in. He didn't
He
like
didn't
get his,
do it.
yeah. If he did, he didn't make comment about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So sexual chemistry or lack thereof. I guess I should touch on sexual chemistry. We were both virgins, not uncommon in the Mormon religion.
Who'd have guessed it?
Trying to keep the Mormon rules of chastity. When we were dating, she seems to be pretty much always horny. I thought, like I was the one working hard to keep us within the line. However, that changed instantly on our honeymoon. She had almost no interest in sex, which left me very confused and frustrated. The hot makeouts also stopped. That's where I feel she's playing him.
Mm-hmm.
She's pushing like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun having sex, because that's a big sell. When you get married quick in the Mormon religion because you want to have sex, that's the belief. It just is. And so she's playing up to that. Number one, I kind of think in this case she was trying to falter him to make sure there was to get pregnant. I think she was trying to get pregnant. In my opinion, in this, she was being all hot and horny because she was trying to get pregnant. She really was trying to baby trap him, and it didn't happen because he kept pushing off and refusing,
Mm-hmm.
refusing, refusing, and put it off until they got married. And then again, as a common thing, I can't say it's common. It didn't happen. It didn't happen in your mom and I's marriage, but sex is also considered to be a bit of a taboo. So then when you get married in Mormon religion, a lot of times husband and wife, it's kind of vanilla, it's kind of basic.
Mm-hmm.
As I that's something I was told. That's not something I've lived, so I can't claim that. But um, so married life. Sorry, we're not going to get into the sexual aspect anymore. You don't need to hear about
All right. Continue with
it.
the story, please.
Married life. Back at college, a few weeks later, marriage was rough. We had almost nothing in common. She failed at all of her classes and dropped out while I was prepping my med school application. Maybe 1 month in, she told me that she felt very strongly, or maybe felt inspired by God, that we needed to start a family as soon as possible. I felt strongly the other way, given that I was preparing applications for medical school and extremely busy and stressed, and hopefully about to start medical school. But once again, who am I to question inspiration for God? We got pregnant pretty quickly, about 3 months into marriage, and our first child
7
came a
months
few
now.
weeks before I took the MCAT, the biggest test of my life that would determine my entire future. Now, I don't know medical stuff because obviously I didn't go to medical school. So I honestly am not 100% sure on that how that works. But MCATs, I've heard of MCATs, and I know that they're important. So this is where the title comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
She baby trapped him. So now she's spiritually trapped him. Now she's baby trapping him.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still doing it spiritually. She's still blaming, or I shouldn't say blaming. She's still
weaponizing
she's
God's
still
faith.
weaponizing God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. And that's where my big issue with it comes into play. She's using the religion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's using Mormonism. That's just the fact of what's going on here. She has figured out how to trap a guy that she knows she's not worthy of, which is bullshit in itself. He's already having some questions and some doubts at this point, and yet he still just is so enthralled in the religion that he's like, okay. And again,
He's going, damn, who am I to question this?
but again, the Mormon religion, they want you to have a family right away. I mean, they do. That what she's saying is true within the religion.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely true. They don't want you waiting. They want you to go for it. They feel that you'll figure it out. You'll be provided, all that kind of stuff. And to for this to kind of go on is a little crazy. And again, it goes back to the thing of, if he truly was in the religion, why isn't he praying himself?
Yeah.
That's the part that I don't understand, because for me, or for the religion, you want to find out your own answers. He's not finding his own answers. He's just going by what she says. So he's believing that she's more spiritual than he is, and just going with the flow, which is
wild.
It's very
wild. You met
wild.
this woman like 7-8 months ago at this point, and you have openly stated that you have nothing in common.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So anyways, all right, so after the baby was born, she quit working and stayed home to take care of him. This has been pretty financially stressful, but we're frugal and doing okay. I mean, okay,
Okay.
great to hear.
I mean,
I just, again, it's the belief of have the kids, everything will work out.
yeah, which, sorry, y'all, ain't how it works sometimes.
So fast forward over the next 5 years, I get into a great medical school. We move across the country. We have 2 more children. Our marriage gets a lot better. We become best friends. Our sex life is pretty terrible, but we have sex a few times a week, almost always, just to satisfy any needs. It's a weird comment.
That's such a weird way to put it.
It's very weird.
I doubt it's that great.
Again, he's unknown at that point. He's really lacks knowledge at that point of sex. So does he really know any different?
Well, no, but it's also he's just fully in her hand.
Yeah. Next, coming out of the closet and leaving Mormonism.
Coming out of the closet and leaving Mormonism?
Here comes the twist.
Like the first sentence?
Yes. Well, this is
Is
the
it
next.
meaning what I think it's meaning?
This is where it breaks after the 5 years where they had 2 more kids. So I think they have 3 kids at this point. It's 5 years later. So I don't know. It doesn't say what age they got married. It just says what age they're at now, which is 32 and 28. So at this point, they're 32 and 28 with 3 kids. Again, not sure of the ages. I'm guessing all under 7. They got to be.
Probably.
Anyways, so coming out of the closet and leaving Mormonism. Towards the end of medical school, she comes to me as a bisexual. Although I'm the only guy she's attracted to, and she said if I ever died, she'd probably never be interested in being with another man. A few months later, I came across some material, very, very much so. A few months later, I came across some material on Reddit that leads me to questioning and eventually losing my faith in the church. I tell my wife, and we leave the church together a few days later. Okay,
all this spiritual talk for years. That takes one Reddit thing,
yeah,
one Reddit like article, and damn, guess I'm done.
yeah. Uh, and he read an Reddit article in 2 or 3 days
She
later
didn't
they
even read
left
the
the
article.
church. Well, no, she read it together.
Okay,
They read it
I
together.
thought she just went, you know what, you're out, I'm out.
But I mean, if she fully is a bisexual and that she's in love with women, um, obviously she's losing faith in the belief of the church. I mean, that's just they don't go hand in hand.
Sadly not, no.
Yeah, they don't. So again, something with the church that again, not getting too personal, but it's something with the church that I strongly disagree with as well.
Mhm.
That's just it's just a bullshit thing. But her having those type of feelings and feeling that way means she's losing faith in the church.
Mhm.
It just does. I mean, it's just that simple. But he reads an article, and 2 or 3 days later, listen, when I left the church, it wasn't an easy thing.
Wasn't it 3 or 4 days later?
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking, I was in my late, I guess late, it would have been late 30s, early 40s, what age I am now, um, that I left. So it's, I mean, 40 years, I've known nothing different but the church, and that's, things pertaining to where you guys were, the way the world, I shouldn't say the world, but the way we were relating to you guys, things that are coming up in your guys' lives pertaining to your friends and people. We no longer could say with the same views the church had. We couldn't. And
just kind of drifted away from it.
yeah, the leaving the church was a longer process. It was 6 months to a year time frame when I started having questions. I started really doubting um, some of the teachings, some of the beliefs. I don't believe that that Christ would feel this way about people. I just don't. And there's a lot of things with that. And you can argue, disagree with me all you want. I'm not here to argue that anyways.
No, I don't really
We're here to
care.
talk about a story to where it affects somebody else. And
Mhm.
my feelings of the church and why I left her, I'm most likely different than what you. Listen, I when I was on my mission, I read a lot of anti-Mormon stuff. I read a lot of anti stuff. Um, None of it swayed me, and that in the end is not what swayed me, anyways. I was swayed by personal experiences, personal feelings, my kids' friends, people that we knew as adults. I'm being told I shouldn't approve of these people's lives, and sorry, God's not. I don't give a crap. You can tell me what you blew in the face. God doesn't believe that, and that's fine. And if people want to feel that way, I'm not going to argue with them because people can feel the way that they want to feel.
Yeah,
And
real.
I know what I feel, and I know where I am. So this is. I just found this interesting. I really wonder if this guy. I feel it sometimes that I felt like I had a testimony of the church, like I guess you could call it convince yourself or felt the spirit. I don't feel this guy ever. I feel this guy was just always going through the motions of this is what was expected of him. This is the way he lived, which
Yeah.
is a lot of the
He
way that I
lived
felt too.
you lived for other people basically.
Correct. Which is a lot of the ways that I lived, that I feel I lived my life.
Mhm.
I felt I was living my life to make other people happy and satisfied. I wasn't living for myself. I live for myself now, and I've never been happier. I mean, I'm extremely happy in my life. So the aspect with this is the part that's the part that I found fascinating.
Mhm.
Number one, that he must not have. He's probably one that never felt the spirit in his life and just trusted what other people told him. That's why he
Mhm.
never prayed about any of this stuff himself. He just trusted his wife was close to God, and that what she said is what God felt, which to me was false. But listen, she played the system and won. I mean, that's the
That's the
fact.
same.
She played the game and won. Like it or
She ain't
not,
cheating, you ain't trying, I
yeah,
guess.
she played the. Now, the next 2 to 3 years, I'm now in residency, and we move to a new state. We're happier than ever that we're out of the church. Our children can be a handful. They're each a little neurodivergent, but we love them more than anything. I don't know what that means. They mean that they're autistic or something. I don't know.
Yes.
I just
Just it's the newer way of saying it.
without bringing diagnosis, I just think they're bad parents. Come on.
Yeah.
Neurodivergent just means you don't have control of your kids.
That's a
And
take.
in this case, because he doesn't. I mean, maybe they do have some autistic type stuff, and that's a. I'm not talking about that. That's a totally different thing. But the way that he phrased this tells me they just kind of let their kids be, and you can't.
I guess.
You got to be a parent. We're going to get into that later about how other parents drive me crazy with not being parents. No, in this case, the way that he puts this, I took this as they're just not being parents. Like the wife is probably just sitting on the couch all day, letting the kids run around while he's at work doing his shit. Because he is busting his ass. If he's in residency, he's busting his ass.
No,
He has no thing outside of life.
12-hour days.
Yeah, he's gonna come home, and he's home for a couple hours a day at the most with his kids. He's busting his ass. There's no question. To be successful and to pass his residency, you're gonna bust your ass.
Working
So
different levels.
Yeah. So our sex life has also improved. She initiates sometimes. She gets off most of the time. Everything seems good. I don't know why he had to add that.
Yeah, again, I feel like we're throwing that in as like a curveball, and we're playing football. We're not even. That's not the game we're playing. Why are you throwing it like this? That was totally out of left field. You're talking about your kids, man.
He's talking about his kids 1 second, and then how he gets his wife off the next.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I love my kids. They're a little odd. Work is crazy. Sex.
I get her off. I get her off most of the time. I mean, I don't. He's saying that like he's scoring a touchdown. I don't know. Cracks me up. It's just funny that he adds that in. I do think I think you'll understand that.
I think I'll understand why.
You'll understand why he adds that in, but it's still funny that it's thrown in. All right. Now, I hesitate to even touch on this since I don't want it to be a red herring or distract from the rest, but in the interest of completeness, here goes. A few months ago, I told my wife that it really was a shame that she never got the chance to explore her sexuality since she was raised in the Mormon church and we got married so young, and that I didn't think I would be jealous at all if she started to explore that as long as it was kept in the loop. She got on a few dating apps and went on quite a few dates and even kissed a few girls. When she got on her dates, I was honestly so supportive and so happy and excited for her and didn't have any jealousy. If anything, I would say it spiced up our sex life more than anything. Okay, I'm
not here to judge. I'm not here to judge.
I am. I'm here to judge that. So the aspect that he doesn't care. Okay, we're talking about men and women. Okay, so the aspect where most men have a fantasy of being in a threesome with two women, or their wife having fun with another woman. If that's a common experience, we're not going to get into that whether, but that's a fantasy a lot of guys supposedly say that they have. So he's fantasizing, oh, she's with a woman, it's okay. I and not getting jealous, then you're not fully in love with your wife. You're not in love with your wife. I'm just sorry. If you're in a relationship where you're in an open relationship and everything's good, great for you. Me personally,
could
never do it. Could never do it. I could never be a part of that. Could never do it. I would never want that going on. I would never give permission for that. That was when your mom and I got married. That was a hard. If that ever happened, I'm out. There's a cut line. Now, you can say that. Well, yeah, you can say that when you're first married or down the road. And I know that there's people that get past it. The husband cheats, the wife cheats. They move past it, get on with it. Great. I don't feel that I could.
I could never do that.
I don't feel that I could. I don't feel that in any way I could share Amy with anybody else, man or woman. Doesn't matter. I couldn't do it. But that's because of my feelings for her, our connection, my love for her. Mm-hmm. I just, call me jealous, and that's fine. Call me jealous. I don't care. I am absolutely jealous. I love my wife to death. I love being with my wife. I love being around her. You know, we're together all the time. It's not like we have separate lives, especially now that I don't travel, and we're still having driven each other crazy. So this to me is a cut line. But what I take away from that is he's not fully in love with his wife. His feelings are already kind of dwindling at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I think that was the first telltale sign, other than the oddball sex references.
Yeah. So now we get into some more. At this point, so that's where the closet comes into play, because she's with
me. Because she's coming out of the closet. I caught on to that.
At this point, she told me that she would like to be open to kind of flirting with or meeting people at work or otherwise that, yeah, sometimes they're writing, being a doctor sometimes, yeah.
I believe in you.
No, I'm trying to correct some of the writing.
Yeah. A little fast.
All right. At this point, she told me that she would like me to be open to kind of flirting with or meeting people at work or otherwise, and that, hey, maybe I would even find someone that we could share. Weird. Up until the point, I would consider myself 100% faithful. I honestly don't think I really flirted with anyone our entire marriage, but now it seemed like I was just giving off a different vibe or something and started to receive a lot of attention from nurses and even other residents that I worked with. Really impressive women, driven, intelligent, accomplished, and not to mention very attractive. One of them was openly bisexual, and as we became better friends, I mentioned the kind of journey exploration that my wife and I were going on, and she asked if she could come over and meet her and spend some time with us. Things went pretty quickly as we ended up doing some stuff together and one on one, always with my wife being totally in the loop and with her express consent.
I
So
just,
they're not an open marriage.
yeah.
So this is just weird. This is so weird. This is so weird on so many levels.
You can just say that you don't love each other at this point. You can have a partnership for the kids still. Don't get me wrong. You can be a team.
Now,
You ain't together no more.
a couple things that are interesting in there to me that he talks about. He has never been open about. Has never been looked at it. And then when he kind of changed his mindset, all of a sudden he noticed other flirting was going on. It was always there. He just
He was
wasn't.
always there. He just wasn't paying
He
attention
wasn't noticing it. He
because
wasn't paying
he's in
attention.
love with his wife.
Correct. He wanted to only be with his wife, and now his wife said, "Go be with someone." So now he's like, "Well, maybe I shouldn't." Holy cap! All these people really like me. So he's a doctor. I mean, the nurses are going to be all over him.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, give me a break. I mean, that generally is the way that it goes and happens. It's not, yeah, but it's not even necessarily about the money. It's about the power and prestige of being with a doctor. It's about,
I guess.
it's about,
Money helps.
yeah. And it's just, I mean, he's still pretty early on in things. And so the money's not necessarily there yet, but it's coming. And this is just a weird situation. All right. This was a very brief but enjoyable fling as the person soon moved away. Shortly after this, my wife was having a bit of breakdown after we had some sort of argument. This kind of I'm just a fuck up and I can't do anything right kind of thing, and me trying to give her affirmation and support and express my love. I think it's because he saw how much better he could do if she wasn't around. I mean, that's what she saw.
He saw what he deserves.
Yep, yep. But that's when she said it. Something she can never take back and I could never unhear. She said, my whole life, I've always taken the easy way out. If I hadn't met you, I would just be a loser living home with my parents like my brother. I always knew that. I knew I was failing out of college when we met. I knew that I couldn't handle a mission, and so I chose to come home and marry you instead. Even the kids and the dog, those were all my idea. Every decision in our life has been my idea, and I've made these decisions out of fear or because I thought it was the easy way out. As soon as I heard that, I knew without a doubt it was true. I He knew that before that. He's just
Yeah, he
again
was just trying to
like
deny
realizing this his what he's got out there. I mean, come on, give me a break. You knew that before that. And obviously, my kids mean so much to me, and I have no idea what life would be like outside of this marriage. But honestly, it's also so frustrating that I'm fit, in my humble opinion, fairly attractive, successful, and surrounded by women who are the same over the past 7 years and could have had incredible relationships or opportunities with these accomplished, motivated women. And I feel like I was basically trapped or tricked into my current situation. Having these feelings makes me feel like garbage. I'm not used to thinking this way. I've always focused on being a husband and a father first. But that's pretty much it. I would hold it I would hold it against anyone if they thought this was fake. Reading back through it, it's honestly so embarrassing. I can't believe that this is my life. I plan on reaching out tomorrow to my hospital mental health resources to try and get into the someone to talk to as soon as possible. In the meantime, you guys are all I've got, and you make me so far. Thank you for being here with me. TDLR.
TLDR.
I don't know what is that.
To make a long story short.
Okay. My wife said that she had always taken the easy route and she married me because the alternative was going on a Mormon mission she did not want to go on. She pushed super hard to start having kids right away. We've had an amazing relationship for 9 years, but this admission, my feelings for her have just evaporated and I don't know what to do.
Damn.
Now, like I said, I found this story months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone back to it numerous times. There's no update on it.
Oh, there's nothing more.
There's nothing more on this. I went back to this person's. They still have an active account, but they have not posted anything else. I mean, I don't really know how to find updates too. I'm still learning Reddit a little bit.
Well, usually updates are just on the same.
Correct.
They just literally edit their posts and put update.
The advice is all over the place on this one through the postings.
Yeah, this seems like there would be a lot of different opinions going in.
I honestly don't know what to tell them to do.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because
you've got 3 young kids that you're involved with now. The I think the thing that's probably going to make you most happy is that you move on with an open relationship. But the problem being with that is that you can never fully move on because you're still with your wife. Now, you can kind of keep the relationship open and find some people here and there for like the next 10 years. And then once your kids are older, then it's time to leave. Or that's option 1. Option 2 is you guys get back together. But she,
I don't think that's an option.
So the couple things that don't get answered in this. When she says that, she may have said that, but over time, did she fall in love with him or not? Is she happy with where she is at? That's not talked about in this because she's not the one writing the post. So you don't know if she said that that may have been a legitimate reason why she did it, but has she developed feelings for him? Does she care for him? Does she want to be around him? If she doesn't, then they just need to get divorced. And despite what it's going to do to the kids, it's going to be a mess. Because I also think she's the way that again, the angle he's writing it, she's going to be kind of vindictive with them, kind of use them, hold them over his head. He's definitely going to be paying out his ass for them for the next 18 years because she's definitely going to be paying her alimony and the kid. I mean, depending on which state they live in, but because they're not necessarily cheating because the stuff that they're doing outside of their marriage they both knew about. So it's not like
it
was an open relationship. So there's no affair thing going on there. So even if it's not an at-fault state, or if it is an at-fault state, he still can't win that because he knew what was going on. That the affairs, as you would call them, which they were, he knew about them and supposedly agreed to them. Now they don't have anything in writing. He could be whatever, but he's still going to be paying child support, probably quite a bit since he's a doctor. So
yeah, and she seems to be unemployed.
He's got to decide if he wants to stick around for 10 years to be a father and have some flings here and there, which he can. I mean, frankly, you can get a prostitute. You can, I mean, really, you can. So there's no strings attached. You can get, someone that's open to being a third wheel in a marriage, which, you can find yourself a sugar baby.
Happens.
Yeah, you can find a sugar baby. I'm sure he can find one. I'm sure that would not be difficult for him. That's an option to where you have somebody that you just kind of hang out with, do some things here and there. And at this point, he can probably be honest with his wife and say, I'm going to stick around for the next 10 years, but I'm not going to divorce you because I'm going to go live with this person. I want to be around, but every other weekend or something like that, I'm going away with my second love or someone that he actually loves. I don't know. He really is in a no-win situation.
He lost the game before it started.
Correct. Yeah. He got Mormon trapped. He got spiritual trapped. That's why I don't like the title being called baby trap because it wasn't a baby trap.
No, he got trapped using the fear of God.
Yep. One of the things that fascinates me is he never prayed himself. That part I don't understand. Is he said he served a mission. If he served a mission during the mission, I don't care where you go. You can go to where you baptize every week, or you can go somewhere you never get a baptism. You're going to pray with people. You encourage people to pray to get their own answer. That's the whole point. Is that with Mormon religion is that you feel the Spirit to confirm what you're saying. And the fact that he never writes in this story that he prayed himself fascinates me. Why would he never pray himself?
I don't know. I mean,
that's the part that fascinates me. So as far as it goes with this story, as far as relationship goes, I don't know what to tell you.
You're cooked.
I will tell. This is something I've actually kept track of because I've been hoping for some kind of an update, and I'm still tracking to get an update. If we ever get an update, we will
bring it back on.
We will bring it in one of our videos because this one is fascinating to me. So we'll keep it going. My advice is good luck, and hopefully you can find an answer some way.
Hopefully you know what you're doing because it does not seem like it.
It does not. And recording has started.
All right. Now that we've finished up with that fiasco.
That's a good one.
My story is completely unrelated. I feel like that one was heavy enough on its own. And so this one is a little just kind of the title really grabbed my attention. I didn't fully read this myself.
Okay.
So we're both going to be surprised by this.
Sounds good.
But it is off of Best of Redditor Updates.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of stories with updates.
I
I
am
saw
too.
this one has a couple.
I seem to keep finding ones that don't have them, but I like them.
This was originally on Am I the Asshole though.
Okay.
So the title. Am I the asshole for suing my girlfriend after she had my 1967 Impala project taken to the scrapyard? I feel like this one's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
There's not much to redeem that one.
Nope. I have to kind of hear what the girlfriend, why she did it.
Mm-hmm. All right. This first sentence is going to be highly ironic. I'll try to keep it short. I had a 1967 Impala four-door that I bought in February 2019. This story was posted in 2020, so he got it for a year.
Yep.
A couple months ago, I bought my first house that had a 2.5 car garage. I moved the car in and started tearing it down for complete restoration. I had the body in one bay and the chassis in another, plus the whole garage filled with parts. About 2 months ago, my girlfriend came to live with me during the whole crisis and the whole time has hated that car. She wants to park in the garage, but I have 2 acres of land with a lot of nice places to park, under shady trees, or hell, even in the barn if it has to be inside. I tell her, tough luck, it's my house, and it's not like I can just throw it back together real quick. You could have probably worked on it in the barn. But maybe the barn doesn't have the space you need, I guess, but like,
So
it's a little late now.
So there's a couple things with that. I guess I didn't hear. Did he have the car or the girlfriend first?
The girlfriend moved in after he got the car.
Okay. So he'd already established that it's in the garage. The other thing is the garage is easier to insulate. We don't know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So spreading it out in the garage, 2 car garage, 2.5 car garage, pretty good size. You can spread it out. And depending on the level that you're pulling it apart, which that your car, you're probably pulling it apart quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You probably got the engine out. You probably got the interior out because you're probably gutting it because you want to put it together nice and in full on restoration. The car itself, the value on the car, while it has value, it's not. Ideally, you'd want a 2-door Impala. Those are worth quite a bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
But the 4 doors are still desirable because the 2 doors are so expensive that the 4 doors bring it down to,
and they still work,
everyday man. And they're still kind of cool. They're still cool looking cars. They've got some unique styling with the taillights, with a couple of things. So they're a very unique car. That's why they're desired.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty cool. And so the fact that he has it pulled apart, and I'd agree, if he had the girlfriend and they moved in the house and he said, tough crap, I'm taking the garage. But again, it's his house.
I guess.
He bought it. They're dating. It's not like they bought the house together. It's not, at this point, it's not their house. And you can yell at me all you want about the fact that once they move in together, it becomes her house. Yes, I would agree with that. But if the car was apart in shambles in the garage before she moved in, then no, he doesn't need to move it. Now, if he wants to work and say, listen, over the next few months, I'm going to kind of put it together to a point that I can move it to the barn, because now that it's in pieces, moving it to the barn
would kind of be impossible.
Would be tough because you got things apart. You don't want to lose bolts. Everything's in the garage. You don't want to lose it. So for him to say, give me 6 months to 6 to 8 months, I'll get the car back together enough that I can move it into the garage, into the barn, and start working on it out there. And again, the barn, while would be fine to insulate a car, might not be fine to insulate a working area.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be hot as hell.
Or cold as hell, depending on where you're at.
Exactly. So, anyways, I was out of town for a couple days on a business trip for a small local company I work for. When I get back, my girlfriend was all smiles, making me food all the time, doing all the chores, all that. I thought maybe she just was happy to have me home. But then I realized that I didn't see her car in its usual spot. I asked her where she's parked so I could make sure I mow that area and keep it clean. And she said not to worry because she parked in the garage. I asked how, and she told me to go check it out. Turns out, while I was gone, she hired some people to come over and move everything related to that car, including drivetrain, body, and chassis, and all the parts, and take it to a local dump slash scrapyard. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I had spent over 11K on that. Oh,
Bless you.
absolutely flabbergasted. It's got me sneezing. I had spent over 11K on that car, including new parts, services, and the car itself. I told her that I was going to be taking her to court for that, and she brushed me off like I was being dramatic. I told her that it's done between us and to pack her things and leave. I admit I was really angry, but I did end up getting a lawyer. And as I have all the receipts for that money spent, I have her on my house security cam footage, letting the guys in and watching them take it all. I think I can win. Her family and friends are absolutely blowing me up, saying it's stupid old piece of junk and that she cannot pay back all the money I spent and that I should let it go. But I have been putting all my time, effort, and money into that car for a year and a half now. And God damn it, if I'm not going to get justice for what she did, am I the asshole?
No. No, you're not.
No, and the verdict was not the asshole. Because there's so many updates, they actually had a verdict.
Okay.
I doubt there were many people arguing it and being like, because I don't know, fully getting rid of it is crazy.
Well, the aspect to me, a couple things that strike me with that is number one, she didn't get any money. Why in the world
Why
did
would
she
you do
not
that
get
for
money?
free?
Yeah, why would you just let somebody come and take the car for her? She had to know the cameras there. I mean, it's a little creepy if he has cameras there and she didn't know that and living there.
Hmm.
That would be a little creepy. That's a different subject matter. So she had to know the cameras are there. She had to know she could find it. She had to know she would have to face the consequences. And I don't understand in her right mind why she thinks it would be okay to just get rid of something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If it ended up being that she hired some people to move it from the garage to the barn,
That's what I was thinking would be a much better idea.
while that would really piss me off, I would probably still break up with her at that point. I wouldn't be coming after her for her money. I wouldn't be doing any of that. I would, it is what it
It's
is.
just an
Everything's,
inconvenience
yeah,
at that point.
yeah. I mean, you could maybe see that, but to let somebody come and take it, I mean, I find it hard to believe she's so ignorant that she didn't understand that car had value.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can say $11,000 isn't that much, which it's not. I'm actually kind of surprised the car isn't worth more, to be honest. I thought those cars were worth more, but maybe it was in pretty rough shape when he bought it.
Possibly.
Um, I thought the value of those was a little bit higher. I was thinking around 20 to 30 in that
Mm-hmm.
price range. And again, maybe he got a good deal because it was pretty beat up and in pretty bad shape. Didn't run. You can get cars pretty cheap if they don't run. So, but for her to think that there was no value to that, to not even get money from the guys that came and got the thing, I don't understand that. That's the part where I don't understand that, and how in her right mind she did not think that that would blow back at her.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't fathom it because it's obviously a personal project of his. And if it's a personal project, he probably talks about it. And he probably is pretty excited about it a lot. So even if she
Well,
were to think it was stupid, at the end of the day, it's his thing,
they're
and he
living
just wants to
together.
work on it.
If they're living together for a few months, at some point he was in the garage working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Had to be,
Yeah, it's
and
not just sitting there.
correct. Again, the monitor. I mean, I don't know. I don't see any difference in getting rid of that car compared to people that if they had a big bunch of Legos in a room and the wife wanted the Legos, so she got rid of the Legos. It's no different. I mean, it's
No different.
there's value there. Legos have value, whether you think they're a dumb thing or not. They have value. A car has value,
It's
and
just adult Legos.
yeah, how in the world did she not think to get money for that? Oh, they just did it for the price of the pickup. Uh,
Uh, so you paid to get rid of that stuff that your boyfriend has spent thousands of
Yeah,
dollars on.
I also find it hard to believe that he hasn't mentioned to her the money he's spent, the time he's put into it, and for her to just throw that all away or not listen, because she's if she didn't think the car had value, that means she never listened to him. And again,
Yeah, no.
I find it hard to believe that with it sitting in the garage, that they didn't have conversations about it, that he didn't say what the value was.
Mm-hmm.
And if she just ignored it, man.
Well, he also like there was it was like a little point. He cleans up the area she usually parks. Like he makes it a little parking spot for her.
Well, the other thing, you're talking that they're on 2 acres of land. That's a good chunk of
That's a
land.
lot of fucking land.
It's a lot. It's a lot of land. Um, and okay, I understand that she wants to park in the garage, but maybe help him finish the car, get some interest in the car. You want to hire somebody, pay for him to have the engine rebuilt. That car's not going to be there forever. And okay, if we're talking that they've been together for 5 years and he hadn't touched it in three,
That's
but
different.
still, I still wouldn't.
Still, you gotta
I still
sell.
wouldn't understand the just giving it away. But I can understand the aspect to where she thinks it's a little bit more her right to have the garage. Five years down the road, 5 year relationship, we're talking a different conversation.
Yeah,
He might be the asshole.
the fact that this is a relationship, like 2 months ago, my girlfriend. I don't. He doesn't say how long they've been dating,
But she only
but
moved in 2 months ago.
yeah,
So
like she
within two
moved
months,
in
she
two
gets rid
months.
of his car, which is a huge deal. It's you know, I understand when you move into a place, you want to put your touch on place. I totally would understand that if you're moving in with somebody, if your girlfriend's moving in with you, she's going to want to decorate a little bit. She's going to want to add her touches there.
Mhm.
Get it? And he should be giving her permission to do that, quite frankly.
This just ain't.
This is
This ain't a
this
little
is
touch.
too big of a step. Again, 5 years, if they've been living together for 5 years and this happens, I think
Mhm.
we're having a different conversation. Because if you're not going to finish it in 5 years, it's time to give up.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
It just
Game
is.
over.
If it's in your garage, if you have it out back, and listen, I watch Vice Grip Garage all the time. He finds cars that have been sitting around for 16, 20 years, but they're tucked away. They're out in the pasture. They're not in the way. It's once in a while they're in a garage, but it's a garage full of crap.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I've literally watched him pull boxes and storage things off of cars to pull them out. There's this stuff so old. It's just crazy how neglectful people can be. But if you're getting 5 years in a relationship and you have a barn and you're still taking the garage, I mean, me personally, I would want to park in the garage myself too. So I don't know. But again, 2 months into it, she's just way out of line. She's way overstepped her boundaries. She's
Mm-hmm.
way overstepped her right. Because the other thing too is that she didn't legally sell the car. Obviously, the people picking the car up should have known that. I mean, obviously, it's a shady deal all the way
Mm-hmm.
around.
Hey, but they're being paid.
But they're figuring they're getting. Well, I don't know that they're being paid or if they just took it away. Either way, even if they did it for free, you're taking a car without somebody's permission. You're not getting the title. You obviously can't get the title. If he has the title, you can't get it because he didn't sign it.
Mm-hmm.
And she probably doesn't know where the title is anyways. There's no mention of her using the title. And again, if she had all that, why didn't she sell it? Okay, if she hands him 20 grand and said, I got rid of your car and I got you 20 grand, here you go. Still, 2 months into it, man, that's just, oh, God, I'd be so mad. I'd be so pissed. So let's see how it goes.
There is an edit
Yeah.
first.
All right.
Thank you all so much for the support and awards and everything. I'm glad I have some people on my side. I got a call from her mom about 20 minutes ago, and she told me that I was ruining her daughter's life over a stupid car. I told her she ruined her own life. I've been gathering documentation and stuff, and I'm about to head down to the police station and file a report, as suggested by lots here. Once again, thank you all. There are two updates, and one is huge update. So this first one is just update. This is
Okay.
just a plain Jane update. Went to the police station last night, was told to come back in the morning. Just got back and filed an official report against her for grand larceny and grand theft auto. I showed them all the receipts I had for the car and the footage of her letting guys come and take it, as well as the title for the vehicle in my name. They said they will be in contact with all three parties, me, ex-girlfriend, and the junkyard guys, soon, and they will hopefully be able to recover some or all of the car. Just have to wait now.
Now, the one thing I would have probably done a little bit different if I was the boyfriend, I mean, maybe you have to act fast. Fast, I don't know. I probably would have said, "You have 48 hours to get me my car back, or I'm going to the police," and just left it at that. And then 48 hours later, you go to the police. Because if she made the arrangements and got all of the got all the car parts back, I probably would just end the relationship with her and move on because I got
Mm-hmm.
my car. Going through the police means it's probably going to take a lot longer to get your car.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have to go through evidence. It's going to have to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole, most likely.
Probably.
Um, and so that's a whole thing that's because if they go in to get if the police go into the junkyard and get this car and then find a bunch of other stolen stuff there as well, then your car's gonna be tied up for months and months and months. You're never gonna see it. So the end result is you want the car back. So the first thing I would do is tell the girlfriend, you got 48 hours to go get those guys and get my get my car and all my parts back in my garage. If you can do that, we're just done. There's no further thing. We'll cut contact and we're done. If you don't, I'm going to the police.
Easy. I would think they'd have to work fast just because it's a junkyard. So they might tear the car apart more and parts will get lost.
Well, it would be interesting to see how the junkyard people reacted when you go back to them and say, "I need that car back. We've got to take it back."
Don't you worry. That's
Okay.
what this update's about.
Okay.
So, huge update.
All right.
They found the car.
All right.
And it starts with the junkyard guys apparently were in the middle of hiding it when the police came to ask them questions. It was on a forklift and they were going to put it on top of a pile of cars that was hidden behind more piles of cars. They said it was theirs and they had the title, but obviously didn't have the title for it. And since they matched the VIN on the chassis and the body to the VIN on my title, it was obviously mine. So they knew it was shady. The junkyard boys knew what they were doing, and straight up tried to lie to the police, which is nuts. I know at least one person there has been arrested, and I think he was in the camera footage I talked about earlier, but I don't know if it was the boss or whoever, or even his specific charge. They also told me that it would be looking into specific junkyards for any other vehicles reported stolen. They said they haven't been able to get in contact with my ex just yet, but they're working on it. I'm just glad they found my car. Luckily, I made quite an album of pictures detailing me tearing down the car, and so I can use that to prove what parts they had were mine, so I can hopefully get most or all of it back. Police haven't let me take it back home yet, as they say it's evidence or something, so hopefully I can get it back eventually. Thank you all so much for the support and the advice. She's gonna be all right.
She is?
I'm gonna think that's talking about the car,
Yes.
because I doubt the ex will.
Well, the interesting part to me on that, so the one thing with that that's interesting is the girlfriend knowing these people and to get him in there so quick. How did she know them?
Yeah,
That's an interesting
interesting little bit.
aspect because obviously these are some shady people. If they're hiding it, they knew what was going on, what was
They
happening.
knew what they were doing.
So how did the girlfriend find these shady people?
I think it's nuts that they looked at the cops and went, "We have the title. All right, where is it?" Blink, blink.
Yeah, but they probably showed him a title for another Impala.
Yeah, I tried to show them. Well,
Yeah, a fake one.
I just
Depending on the junkyard, they may have had some other Impalas in there. They could have tried to pass it off as well.
probably, but then the VIN doesn't match, and then you're just fucked right there. Because now you have an
I don't
extra
know.
charge.
I just it's just so weird that she was able to find those people that fast. And just the other aspect is, people saying a stupid car. I mean, people can't be ignorant to know that old cars are worth money and that
Well, it's
there's
not
a
even that.
huge cult following for them.
It's not even that. It's a personal project. So who cares if it's stupid if it ain't hurting nobody?
Correct.
Like, why are you gonna look at me and tell me it's dumb when I'm having a great time working on it?
Yeah. I
At the end of the day, even if it doesn't turn out to like be anything, he put passion into it and he had fun.
yeah, I don't I'm a bit baffled by that one. That one really kind of takes the cake for me in the sense of how in the world how do you not just
Any other part? How did any other party think it was okay to do that? I wish there was a third update to find out about the junkyard people, like if they found stolen cars there.
Well, I don't know how thorough they'd get into that. It'd just be lucky they found his. But I'm more interested in how the girlfriend knew these people
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's odd.
that isn't that isn't you call the junkyard and say I have a car I want you to clear out of my boyfriend's thing. And you know when I've junked cars before, they ask, "Do you have the title?" Yes, I have the title. Because if you don't have the title, they're not taking the car.
Yeah, you can't do anything.
Can't do anything. They're not touching anything without a title. So the junkyard did go, "Oh, no title, we don't care." That you know, bill of sale, you have to go in. She'd have to prove that she's the title holder of the car, and some it'd be a whole rigmarole of paperwork that they would have her sign in order to take the car.
Well, the fact that
So
he still has the title.
they're not liable. And if they had given the thing about in this case, if they had gotten her to sign a bill of sale, stating that she's the title owner, which she's not, but
Nope.
but if the junkyard got that from her, that she's the titled owner and that blah blah blah, and that they paid her a couple $100, they would literally be off the hook because they'd be like, "Hey, we didn't, she told us she was a titled owner.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it was a good deal, but she didn't want it. We thought she was just trying to get rid of it, so we're happy to take it off her hands." Blah blah. But they obviously knew when they walked out of the house with it that it was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they acted. So I don't know. That's just interesting to me.
Great timing by the cops, though.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Pull up right as they're putting it on the forklift.
Nice. Well, that was probably the good thing with the advice that I said probably wouldn't have worked because it sounds to me like they wouldn't have given the car back because they would have thought that they could outsmart the police. So
just by hiding it in a pile, cleaning your room by sticking it all in the closet.
Yeah, but the thing is that the one thing with that is if it's my car and the police come back and say, well, they say they don't have it, I would go there into the junkyard and walk around and see if I could find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then call the police and said, I found my car. I know where it's at.
Yeah.
And they come back out. So I don't know. I say not the asshole for sure.
Well, yeah. Dude. Not even close. Not even close. So the final verdict, the final verdict,
not the asshole,
is not the asshole. That's
not.
Pretty easy.
That is correct. All right. So wrapping up the video, final thoughts.
Wow. Some people got to look into their partners a little more.
See, it was related.
There was a little bit of relation there.
You were saying it's totally not related, but it was related in the sense neither. In this case, it was men not knowing or really seeing the true sights or true person that their wives or girlfriends were.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
We swear we'll have different stories.
We didn't mean to.
We didn't mean for these past couple episodes to be. We're both very happy. So it's just these stories we just don't understand.
Yeah.
Or like the parts that we understand aren't the main parts of the story. I'm still flabbergasted because you said I get why he brought up the sex so much. No, I still don't understand why we're talking about his job and his kids. Oh yeah, my wife gets off sometimes. That's like the guy in the last story. Like, yeah, we lost the car. She took it out. Sex was pretty okay, so I was kind of sad. And it's like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, the reason he's talking, in my opinion, the reason he talked about the sex being good is because he's trying to he's kind of showing himself that he is better than his wife.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Which we can say that, that
in that scenario,
in that scenario, you probably are. But again, it's a brag. It's also a case of she's mentioned that she's bisexual, but only wants to be with women. But he's like, I'm a man. I can still get her off. It's kind of like the old,
I guess, yeah.
It's called the old ignorant saying of, oh, you're a lesbian until you meet me. I'll change you.
Ugh.
I mean, that's asshole guys. That's the way guys think sometimes. So it's just disgusting. But that's kind of where it is with that. And the guy, I think he, the Mormon one, he's got to think about what he wants. Is things good enough in that relationship that he is good to stay for at least another 10 years so his kids are older, or does he need to just move on now and become single parents? I'm assuming as a doctor he's going to have the money to move on. I would also assume that his wife would become very vindictive in this situation.
Probably.
And she's only going to get worse over time. and she's probably going to be somebody that's very hard to co-parent with as well.
Only time will tell.
But it is free. But that's what happens when you. I mean, that's a scenario that you hate because the guy probably loves his kids, but he's got a wife now that if he could go back, probably wouldn't marry. But that gives up his kids, and is that I don't know.
Catch-22.
He didn't. He didn't. You didn't catch in the beginning. You just went along with it. You went for the ride because you just believed in all this stuff, and it's crazy. But in the next one with the partner, obviously you didn't know your partner as well as you thought you did.
Yeah, who the fuck is gonna steal a car like that? You go away for like I think you said he went away for like 2 weeks at most. He comes back
or that hangs around with shady people like that.
Gone.
Yeah. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this video. Again, we're sharing our opinions on things, a little bit of life advice, however that plays in. We enjoy kind of talking with each other and enjoy these stories because sometimes they are so ridiculous. So it's fun. So want to say thanks for joining us. Hit that like and subscribe button. It really does. It helps us as far as, well, we're still new enough that we don't really know it. But
it'll help.
We still want it. And any comments you have, we would greatly appreciate and take on. We want to improve, and hopefully we get better with every time. We're learning how to do everything. So, and we appreciate you coming along for the journey. Hope you stay for a long time. So just want to say cheers. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time.
I realized one Dr. Pepper doesn't last.